Proverbs 6. My child, if you have put up security for a friend's debt or agreed to guarantee the debt of a stranger, if you have trapped yourself by your agreement and are caught by what you said, follow my advice and save yourself. For you have placed yourself at your friend's mercy. Now swallow your pride, go and beg to have your name erased. Don't put it off, do it now. Don't rest until you do. Save yourself like a gazelle escaping from a hunter, like a bird fleeing from the net. Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. Learn from their ways and become wise. Though they have no prince or governor or ruler to make them work, they labor hard all summer, gathering food for winter. But you, lazy bones, how long will you sleep? When will you wake up? A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. What are worthless and wicked people like? They are constant liars, signaling their deceit with a wink of an eye, a nudge of the foot, or the wiggling of fingers. Their perverted hearts plot evil, and they constantly stir up trouble. But they will be destroyed suddenly, broken in an instant beyond all hope of healing. There are 6 things the Lord hates. No, 7 things he detests. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that kill the innocent, a heart that plots evil, feet that race to do wrong, a false witness who pours out lies, a person who sows discord in a family. My son, obey your father's commands, and don't neglect your mother's instruction. Keep their words always in your heart, tie them around your neck. When you walk, their counsel will lead you. When you sleep, they will protect you. When you wake up, they will advise you. For their command is a lamp, and their instruction is a light. Their corrective discipline is the way of life. It will keep you from the immoral woman, from the smooth tongue or promiscuous woman. Don't lust for her beauty. Don't let her coy glances seduce you, for a prostitute will bring you poverty, but sleeping with another man's wife will cost you your life. Can a man scoop a flame into his lap and not have his clothes catch on fire? Can he walk on hot coals and not blister his feet? So it is with a man who sleeps with another man's wife. He who embraces her will not go unpunished. Excuses might be found for a thief who steals because he's starving, but if he's caught, he must pay back 7 times what he stole, even if he has to sell everything in his house. But the man who commits adultery is an utter fool, for he destroys himself. He will be wounded and disgraced. His shame will never be erased. For the woman's jealous husband will be furious, and he will show no mercy when he takes revenge. He will accept no compassion, nor be satisfied with a payoff of any size.
Huh. There's a lot there.
Yeah. So basically, to start that off, the whole thing off is don't make promises if you can't keep them. And if you do make promises that you can't keep, you need to do everything in your power to gain the forgiveness and trust of the person that you've wronged.
What was interesting about that, in verse 3, there's another footnote where it says that one says, quickly get out of it if you possibly can. Swallow your pride and get over your embarrassment. And go tell your friend, quote unquote, you want your name off that contract. And it says about there's an implication in the Hebrew that the one whose loan was co-signed for is no longer a friend. The Hebrew word can also be translated apostate, which I don't know what apostate means, to be honest. But
Not prostate.
No.
apostate.
No.
That's just kind of interesting. Like a lot of them say friend, but in the Hebrew it's like someone who this is a former friend.
Yours
Mhm.
is interesting.
I guess the thing that sticks out the most to me is just because it's something that's happening in my family is a person who sows discord in a family. If I'm thinking about the right way, discord is it's just a lot of mayhem in my family. And my aunt started stuff again, and she's the one that always starts stuff in my family. And she lives with my grandma, so she kind of gets away with it because one, my grandfather's not around anymore, and two, my uncle's not around anymore.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with that. Like, I don't know word. I'm not one of those people that counts like how many words is this in the Bible. You know, how many times is this word in the Bible? But besides when it talks about how God hates divorce and this hating, like, does it mention any other times of stuff God hates?
I think it does. I think through Proverbs, I think that phrase,
Is that a common?
there are 6 things God hates, 7 that he detests.
Yeah,
I think that phrase is used
but are
throughout
they all the
Proverbs.
same? They're all the same things.
I think throughout Proverbs, because I notice that when I read through Proverbs, is that phrase shows up
Hating.
more than once.
Well, then never mind.
Notice
I
he's
just
not,
don't remember.
Notice he's not saying the person; he's saying the actions.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's just things that, like, I don't feel like we give much. Like, we want to bring up other things that we want to say that God hates. But, like, these things aren't,
Talked about as
you know what I
much.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
all
Although,
the things that
Hmm.
the church likes to be like, oh, you're going to hell because blah, blah, blah. When it's not, I mean, these are things that are they're detestable.
Mhm.
That's
I looked up the Greek word the Greek for detestable, and abomination is the word they use there. But something interesting that you just said is it lists the sin but not the person, except for verse 19. It actually says a false witness who pours out lies, a person who sows discord in a family. Like the other ones,
it's the action.
the action, but 19 is the actual person who. That's kind of interesting.
Because mine says it a little bit differently though too. Because mine says it just says spouting lies and false testimony and stirring up strife between friends. These are entirely despicable to God. So I guess you have to look at several different translations.
Yeah, I'm going to look at some different ones here. Because, like, that and the Message are like paraphrases, right? I don't know that they're really, like, literal translations.
Yeah.
Let's see what the King James says.
The NIV says a false witness who pours out lies and a person who stirs up conflict in the community.
King James, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren.
Well, brothers and brethren can be. I mean, that can be like your family. That can be your church family. That can
Be
be
anywhere.
Your community.
your community. Any. I don't like that it talks about how much I sleep.
Yeah. Me too. Well,
How long will I stay in bed? As long as I want.
Well,
Yes, I'm not a slacker.
You don't do that day in and day out, though.
Right.
No, that's true.
Because this is, like, if you read that whole passage, it's talking about how ants
Yeah.
store up what they need to survive the winter.
You know, hoard stuff.
So yeah, it's important to know that they aren't oversaving
Mm-hmm.
and they aren't underperforming.
Well,
They're
Just perfect.
right.
It's exactly what they need.
how could oversaving be a bad thing?
Because
You know, all of it depends on the mindset.
Yeah.
You know, where's your heart at in it? That's how do you, God knows.
Because if you're, I think biblically it shows a lack of trust that God will provide you with what you need. I mean, that's not our mindset. Our mindset is to save, save, because I want an abundance.
there's a lot of people who preach that saving money is unscriptural.
Well, I guess
And I
I'm
don't
wrong.
Miss
necessarily-
Pavlovsky used to talk about that all the time.
I don't
in the
necessarily disagree because
Bible. No Bible teacher.
there's just a lot of proof throughout Old and New Testament where hoarding and saving up was
Wow.
actually like punishable.
Dave Ramsey would disagree with $100,000 emergency fund.
How much?
$1,000 emergency fund.
Where you could-
No, I was gonna say, I guess it could also come across as buttons.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good call.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I never even thought of that. But what was that story in the
That's a
Bible
good point.
where there was an army that had demolished an entire tribe or something, and God told them to only take what they needed.
We just read it. We just went
Yeah.
over it at church. It was when the Israelite, or it was the Israelites. Something with the Israelites. I can't remember. But they didn't have to fight because the tribes all killed each other,
Well,
and they went to gather
The plunder.
that
the
was
plunder. We
was-
just
I don't
talked
know
about
if
that.
that- I don't know if that was
But then
it.
there were some people that were hoarding things, trying to hide it,
Maybe that was it.
and they were wiped out by God.
Yeah.
That's where, once again, I go back to what is your motivation?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm saving money up for specific things.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think that's a wise thing to do.
Mhm.
Not that I just completely throw God out of the picture and be like, oh, couldn't just give this to me. But I think it's, because I'm not going I'm not saving a crap ton of stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just,
And two, are you neglecting your family? Because
Yeah.
there's people that
being like a penny pincher, really
Mhm.
I mean, no, but I mean like
Let's be on minute.
how do I say this? Take for example Christmas Carol.
Uh-huh.
and the
That's
box.
I'm not
I
quite
think of
that bad.
You know what I mean?
Am I quite that bad?
You cut the budget because
But we're never in any kind of financial
That's right.
hardship. So
I mean, I'm not a penny pincher. I just have 5 trash cans full of pennies. And I'm not a penny
You don't
pincher.
pinch on them.
I gently scoop them out of my pocket and then place them in there. I don't one by one pinch them. You're going in there. You're going in there. You're going in there.
I just think of verses like, look at the sparrow and how it doesn't worry about where it's going to get its next meal. If God will provide for the sparrow, how much more will He make sure that we're taken care of? So, I think some people obsess about money to the point that it becomes like a false idol.
yeah.
So,
And it puts
I don't.
us in control
not that
versus him being.
So maybe it's not that I believe that saving money is bad, but
There's
I think
like you
some
said, there
people-
can be a lack of trust there
Yeah.
sometimes. And I think too, every once in a while, the thought runs across my heart. It's well, it'd be nice to have 20 or 30 grand in the bank. Then my other thought comes
Yeah, it would.
do I really need to?
mhm.
You know what I mean?
Retirement.
Because that stuff can be stolen away from you like that.
Mhm.
Well, and that's
anything could
another.
happen, a major hospital bill or whatever, and it wouldn't even matter if you had it anyways.
Mhm.
That's a good point. If you have it
So-
and you lose it, what where will you be mentally?
Yeah.
That's a
to
good
me-
indication of
Yeah.
what it is to you.
And you hear about people losing tons of money all the time, and then they're devastated.
Yeah, especially like stock market and stuff.
Well, yeah,
you
like
know,
I lost
or get this being stolen.
A lot.
I lost like over $10,000 in my 401k.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of when it was, and I was like, oh my gosh! And then I'm like, Melody, get it together. Like it's not that big of a deal. You got plenty of time.
And it makes
But,
it makes me wonder
like-
about like the whole the parable that Jesus tells about the workers and the workers and the wages, where he gives like 5
Yeah.
talents, whatever, to each one, and they go and invest.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know if that's completely all spiritual, or if there's any physical, physical they can
Mhm.
apply it to. Because I think like instead of necessarily like almost like sometimes saving can be like the guy that buried the stuff in the ground sometimes, but I think it's within reason that it's good to invest. Like I said, there has to be some kind of wisdom there too.
Yeah, because then
it
you-
seems like some gray area.
You think of the rich young ruler, where he asked Jesus, how can I inherit the kingdom of heaven? And he tells the guy to get rid of all your money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And technically they did, and the
Get
thing
rid of
is too, they were investing, but they were getting rid of all their money too, and they got a lot back, which was really cool. So it's kind of like, you know,
I mean, and I think it all ties into like how the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil, because it is like that is where all that love makes you do things that just
I think it all probably goes back to the theme of all of what we're talking about, chapters 1 through 9. Wisdom.
yeah,
You just need to have wisdom when it comes to
where do you spend your money? Where do
Money,
you keep your money?
how much is enough and how much do I need to survive, and
are you being generous?
mhm.
Generosity. Like,
am I saving up because I don't trust that God's going to take care of me, or am I saving because
That's
it's the wise thing for me
sometimes
to
it's
do?
almost hard to. It's like you almost have to ask them. It's like search my heart, because sometimes I'm not even sure.
Mhm.
Because it's very easy to fall into that, because that's what we're used to doing all the time.
Mhm.
You know, it's like
I have to do that all the time because I'm like I want to save money. Not that I don't trust him, but
Yeah.
just like because I want to have a big chunk of money in
and
case an
I'm not
emergency
saying
happens.
don't beat yourself up over that. I just
Yeah.
ask them. You know, he's
I've
not
yet
gonna be
to
like,
save
how
a
dare
big
you,
chunk of
Melody,
money.
do that? You know what I mean?
Work in progress.
You know.
I'll let you know when it actually happens, and I got a big chunk.
I just like how that kind of that last part of that, like verse 11, reads in the Passion Translation, and saying about like how poverty goes upon you. It says like, or say to yourself, "I'll just sit back a while and take it easy. Just watch how the future unfolds." Or by making excuses, you'll learn what it means to go without. Poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. And I like this part: and move in as your roommate for life.
Whoa. Ooh.
Wow.
I want to know what they mean by wiggle of fingers, because all I can think about is this.
I know.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about
Oh, and gestures. Gestures.
Say, isn't that like?
Yeah.
Well, there's a. Before I don't want to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
There was something that I had a question about that too. I think it's almost like an old world term, kind of. Like I think like in I don't know, but it says if I can find it.
I don't know what signals with his.
This is the footnotes for 12 and 13. It says 12 and 13 is here's another life lesson learned from observing the wayward and wicked man. And it says about the Hebrew gives a picture of those who wink their eyes, shuffle their feet, and point their fingers. And I'm like, it'd be nice if they could just kind of expound on that a little bit more. What exactly that
Like, I feel like when I
Yeah.
read this, I got the perfect picture in my
Yeah,
head of
I
what
feel-
this means.
Yeah.
And remember the wet bandits in Home Alone?
Oh yeah.
So I got a picture of them first
Oh
off.
yeah.
And
The tall guy in the short.
Yeah,
guy? Okay.
yeah. so, like, imagine you're out at a restaurant, and me and Melody are the two. We're the wet bandits, and we see someone walking in the restaurant
Oh.
that we want
Swindle.
to rip off, and I'm like kicking her feet under the table
Yeah, that's what I got out
as
of it.
kind of like a
Uh-huh. Signaling. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's really
And then
subtle.
I'm like, you got some in your eye, babe?
but more subtly than that.
Yeah.
But and you get the picture of like military people, how when they're like sneaking around
The covert.
and they're
They
like
have their signals.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because I'm like, at first I'm like, what does that mean? But
Yeah.
it makes,
I was even
It's better
thinking,
for us.
like, singly, when I was listening, like, just somebody who can't stay still, like, just is constantly moving to, like,
Mhm.
and, like, fidgeting to try and, like, deceive and,
Yeah.
like,
But like it
Plot
goes
and stuff.
along with that paragraph because they're talking about people who that's all they do.
hmm
That's their life.
Constantly.
That's their life. It's their
There's a-
system that they have set up to destroy people,
Mhm.
pretty much, and gain from it. So they have that all set up this
Yeah.
way.
you know,
Like a well-oiled machine.
right.
I was just thinking too, as you said that, my trip last week, one of the girls that went, actually two of the girls that went, are like the, if you've ever seen Mean Girls, they're Mean Girls. Like they're constantly like just talking about people, like, and one of the girls that went with us, she's very, talkative and like very bubbly and like just over the top, and like so she would sit up front because we rented a car, or we had a car, so she was up front and then I was in the back with these two other girls, and like it was a bad idea. So like we're just sitting there, and I like the whole time I could see out of the corner of my eye every time Mary would say something, they'd be like, and like making fun with their eyes and like stuff. And like I was thinking of that, like even just like that type of like smacking and like winking at each other and like kicking each other and stuff. Like because they were just being troublemakers constantly.
Do you think people are consciously aware that they do?
Oh, I know she was doing it because she said,
I think.
"Oh, I need to remember I don't have my sunglasses on. I can't roll my eyes."
Good night. See,
See,
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So
No.
maybe they didn't. No, like
No.
I need to stop being so naive because their intentions are such.
Yeah.
Malicious.
Like
And-
she's friends with my sister-in-law, and my brother. I saw my brother, and he asked how the trip went, and he was like, "How was Ashley to you?" And I was like, "She was really, really nice." I said, "She probably talked about me behind my back, but she was really, really nice." 'Cause I sat next to her on the plane, and she was like trying to calm me down and stuff. It's just like those are the people I think of. Like they're just constantly like stirring up. That's a good stirring up stuff.
that sounds exactly like 22 people I know.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like my whole entire family.
Yeah. There's a lot of people like that for sure.
And I'm not one of them.
Right,
But,
family,
you know what?
family events.
Therefore, calamity will strike him suddenly. He will be shattered instantly beyond recovery.
Well, in that case, y'all might want to move over a little bit. You move
Bob,
out
what are
way.
you even up
Nothing's
to?
gonna.
Throw my shoe at it.
I found
So-
it interesting that in the 7 things that God finds detestable, he mentions lying twice.
Well, I guess I'm going to hell.
It doesn't say that.
Yep, and mine says lies and rumors, and then later on it says lies and false testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Mine says lies and lies.
And lies.
Lies and lies.
Yeah,
So I wonder what the seventh thing, like which is the one that he, because it
I
says
just-
there's
the
six
extra.
What's
there's
that?
six
I
things
just-
he
I
hates
just-
and one more that he like really hates.
I just
No,
assumed it
it's
was the last one.
Yeah.
Just
That's what
because of being in order, and then
Mhm.
there was the strife between friends and
Mhm.
family and stuff like that. But I could be wrong, but I just thought because of how they said in the beginning, it says there's 6 evils God truly hates, and then the seventh that is an abomination. And I figured they put the seventh one at the bottom of the list.
Mhm.
But I don't know.
If you think about like our whole purpose here is to build community, love, and family amongst other people, and if there's one person in there sowing deceit,
That's-
sowing
Yeah, that's-
separation.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like the person who creates discourse among in the church or like that. That's what I was thinking too. Like that's just because there's so many places where we're instructed to like not do that.
To be unified.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think about like when God created the angels, and they were supposed to be a family. Satan's going around picking people off to follow him, and that's separating a family.
And I mean, look where he was
Yeah.
Another thing I found too, once again, was we talked about this real briefly before. Was in verse 20 it says, "My child, obey your father's godly instruction and follow your mother's life-giving teaching." It says, and once again, it has the mom being the teacher again, which is very interesting.
Mhm.
The footnotes is saying about that being the church.
Yeah, I'm reading that and I keep going over and over in my head because I'm thinking like, what? There's got to be. I don't know. Not everybody has parents that command them and teach them. So like, what does that correlate to? You know what I mean? Like,
Remember talking about wisdom being a
Yeah.
female? And I when I read the mother's instruction, I thought wisdom. Like
yeah,
God's commands, and then your mother's instructions, wisdom's instructions.
yeah. It's just like I was trying to.
I don't remember who all was here before I was saying about this, but there's always a picture like Dave from the breakfast we were talking about, like the mom teaches and then the dad exhorts when it comes to the kids. Like, I mean, it can kind of go back and forth, but a lot of times it's usually the two. For some reason, it's set up that way. I don't know why, but it's just a lot more often than not. It seems to be that way, though. So, I guess exhort would be the same thing. I guess it would be encouraged, right? Basically the same thing. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
My
It's
dad-
kind of cool. It's kind of how
My dad mostly corrected me.
My dad just stood around and just watched as my mom corrected me in the middle of everything.
Well, that's why he didn't do anything. It was,
Oh, she would have beat me in front of all those people. She didn't give a crap. But she already, that was when she found out when I was cutting. And my dad was still around. And my dad didn't say a word. But my mom was saying every single word in her vocabulary.
She made up for it.
Yeah.
if I would have never met your mom, I would have been like, oh no, she would never beat a child in public. But now that I have met your mom,
My mom would have whooped
She
me.
would
right
beat
in
a
front of
child, a
everyone.
dog. She'd get you in line.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Plenty.
Hmm?
Plenty.
No. Okay.
We got a lot out of this whole chapter. it goes back into, kind of the adultery thing in a way. And, while I get the literal meaning of that, like I'm looking like at the spiritual side of it with the, your first love or the bride being your relationship with God, and how you can't mix the world into that relationship because it just dirties it. And I wrote, don't let the world entice you and take away from the relationship you have with God, because doing so will leave you spiritually bankrupt, cost you your eternity with the Lord. You can't dance with the devil and not get burned, so don't even try it. And then it goes into like the whole how a thief kind of has an excuse when he steals because he's living in like poverty. And even if he gets caught, he has somewhat of a reasonable excuse for doing what he did. But a person that is not faithful to his wife doesn't have any excuse at all.
He lacks sense.
Yeah. So like trying to like wrap my mind around the spiritual version of that,
Like you have it, like, the whole purpose of a man cheating on his wife is because he feels like there's something that he doesn't have when he obviously has it. He's just not looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the thief who doesn't have anything and goes and takes something so he can have something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where my brain was going after that.
Well, yeah, I mean that is my translation says people don't despise the thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he is hungry. Still, if caught, he must pay 7 times as much. He must give up all the wealth in his house. So like there's still a consequence, but it's like
But he's still
he's
redeemable.
Yeah.
But yet
But the one who commits adultery lacks sense. Whoever does so destroys himself. He will get a beating and dishonor, and his disgrace will never be removed.
it's almost like spiritually speaking, if you like cheat on God,
I have
you're
a
kind
question.
of like damning yourself forever.
For jealousy, I'm trying to do the spiritual thing too.
Mm-hmm.
For jealousy enrages a husband, and he will show no mercy when he takes revenge. He will not be appeased by anything or persuaded by lavish gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Bob.
Go ahead.
Felt like I was back in high school for a sec. Look what one of my sockets.
Go ahead, Bob.
When it says people do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his hunger when he is starving. I guess my question is, we have people at the shelter last winter. They know they have 3 meals. They know they have one place to sleep at night. But some people walk across the street, go to White Farms, and steal a candy bar just so they can be thrown in jail. Why is that?
Have they been in jail before? For some people, it's returning to a normalcy,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not legal. Because a lot of people, the recidivism rate, meaning how quickly they, like offenders, if they offend again and go back to jail, to them that's what they're used to. That's safe.
It's their life.
They're the rules, and this is what they know, and that's what their expectations are. And I may be in jail, but I have 3 square meals. I have a shelter, and I'm expected to do this. Maybe I have a job there, and that may give me some self-worth. And maybe I led some group there or So for some people, that's their normalcy, so they're self-sabotaging intentionally.
I mean, like, we don't know really much about the background besides what they
Right.
tell us upon
Yeah.
admission.
Hard to know what motivates people.
Also, can you really go to jail for stealing a candy bar?
Maybe.
We have literally had
For a day.
last
Maybe.
winter we literally
If you're on
had
probation or
5
something.
people
Yeah.
walk across the street, steal a candy bar, get caught. The police would bring them back to us and explain to us what they did, and then take them out in handcuffs.
Maybe some people, that's all they know, and they just, like she was saying, that's their normalcy.
Or it could be that they don't have the means to buy a candy bar, and people just like, I want a candy bar, and I don't know how to get one, so I'm just going to take it.
So they're paying sevenfold.
Right, which you must pay 7 times as much. Give all the wealth in their
I'd say going to jail is at least 7 times a candy bar.
house.
Maybe even 9.
But according to Scripture, we can look at that and be like,
That's forgivable.
I can understand the want to have a candy bar because I like candy bars.
I've wanted
And
one
if I
for
was in a
almost year.
position where I could not get one, maybe I would resort to stealing one
The
too.
temptation would be there.
But see, the thing that I can't wrap my mind around is we get food donations from Red Lobster, Olive Garden, whatever expos they have. Instead of throwing it away, they give it to us. And then we'll
awesome.
freeze it. And we get, like if Giant or Walmart would have donuts that are about to expire. Instead of throwing it away, they'll send them over to us. I mean, it's
So it's not like they're eating slop.
yeah, it's not
Like
like
they're like jail.
But dang
Right.
it, I want a Reese's Fast Break bar because there's nothing better than chocolate and peanut butter.
And nougat.
And if I can't have one, I'm gonna do whatever I can to get one. Because
I mean, we don't have a lot of stuff, but we do have at least 4 times a week. I'm still wrapping myself around this. Around 4 times a
but
week.
Bob, I want a Fast Break Reese's peanut
That's
butter
not
bar.
the same. A donut's
We
not
have
the same.
donuts. We have
Where's their
some
heart at?
But
candy
I don't want a
bars.
donut. I want a Reese's Fast Break bar.
Well,
This is
I mean,
this is what is.
even think
That's the
about in your own
conversation.
Yeah.
life. Like,
There's something I want, and I want it now.
It's the
and I'll-
immediate gratification
Yeah.
also.
we were just talking about this. You and I were.
Desperate people go
Yeah.
to desperate measures
And it's
to get what they want.
And it's easier probably for them just to go take the candy bar than to say, Brad. Because that would mean they'd have to humble themselves.
I don't
As
like
a friend.
laughing, but I laugh anyway. Whenever I see someone being brought down by handcuffs.
Well, because you've been through it, so, like, it's.
Yeah, but we're not the whole stealing and going to jail part. But I noticed, like, being homeless, and I get that. But it's not like people in there don't have money. People in there receive disability, they receive
That's
all sorts of income.
And
like
that.
what you're saying, maybe it's to go back.
But then, even though you're supposed to save money, then I can guarantee there are friends in there.
It all
They don't
goes.
admit it, but there are friends.
It all goes back to people's hearts, and you, as much as you want to, just come to terms with you might not ever understand it. It's just.
Are you able to stop asking why?
Yeah, I mean it. You know,
Not with
I
all
think
the
there's a
duct
lot
tape
of
on the
things.
It's not easy.
Like, I've done stuff before, you know, I've helped hand out dinners on Thanksgiving at homeless shelters. And I see people walking in with nicer phones than I have. and like stuff like that, and you think, how
Is this fair?
how is this possible? How's this fair? But then it's like, you know what? So what? Like, great. If they have assistance and they get that, that's awesome. At least they have some type of help getting something that, and I'll thankfully up to this point in my life, that's not something that I've had to try to understand. So
I mean, I'm not like downing them for having to rely on the government for
No.
assistance, but it's
Right.
like someone that has money, and we see people all the time walking out with bags of chicken, bags of French fries, bags of whatever.
maybe when they pass away, you'll find out that they've become millionaires and they've left all their money to you never know.
That nice guy at the shelter place.
Well, I guess I'm going on a killing spree and hoping like crash. Let's see, thou shalt not spill the blood of the innocent.
That's correct. That is detestable.
What's up, Caleb?
When Melody read what she read last, but now I don't remember what it exactly said. I guess really well. Because you said like cheating on God, and you remember how the Israelites wind up building a Baal altar, and then they wind up getting punished.
Mhm.
So that's what I was thinking of with like a husband cheating on his wife,
Mm-hmm.
or like the wife getting, or the other husband getting revenge on the other guy for sleeping with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because jealousy enrages a husband, and he will show no mercy when he takes revenge.
Yeah.
He will
So-
not be appeased by anything or be persuaded by lavish gifts.
So all the stories about when people built a figure, idol, whatever, left God, and then all that bad stuff happened to them. It's like a husband
Mm-hmm.
punishing.
None of those people made it into the promised land.
I mean, I
Lifetime.
think about like just the husband and the wife. Like, thankfully, I had some sense of. I mean, I wasn't spiritually where I wanted to be, but when I got divorced, like, if I would have ever seen the person that came, like if I would have seen her out, I probably would have torn her to crap. Like, I would have shown no mercy. Like, you know what I mean? And, like, so I think of that. Like, I think of how I know how I felt. Now, years later, Brandon and I saw her and her new husband out somewhere. Where was that?
Las Vegas, I think.
Yeah, somewhere. And, like, it did nothing. I had no, whatever. But, like, I think if that's how I felt about that, like, I imagine how God feels about us when we do that. Like, the enrage. Just how, yeah.
And you hear about how it happens all the time, where people kill each other over
A
that.
person.
That's why it's called crimes of passion.
Yep.
I
So not worth it.
Or murder or manslaughter or something like that. Or woman slaughter if you kill a woman.
There's a guy I know that's sitting in jail for life because he decided to kill another guy over a woman. And hopefully he's not in the jail with the other guy's son.
Oh,
Who's in
geez.
jail for life
No.
for killing another guy over a woman.
Oh my goodness. Great.
Wow.
We're not worth that.
Well, at least just save that state some money.
My goodness. What else we got there?
Well, I have something that I thought was interesting.
Yes.
So, of the 7 things that is detestable, we talked about the one who sows discord. But then when you talk about the adultery part, it talks a lot about, where is it? it talks about an adulteress will prey upon his life, the man. So, and then it says, whoever touches her shall not be innocent. Well, it doesn't mention anything about the woman in here and her role and her part in sowing discord. Like, what are our thoughts on that?
It's a good question.
Because it says all about, like,
About the man messing
about the man messing up
Yeah.
to keep you from the evil woman. You know, don't lust after her beauty, or, you know, talks about her being a harlot in this translation. And it says, a man is reduced to a crust of bread, and an adulteress will prey upon his precious life. I just think it's interesting that it doesn't mention anything about her.
I was looking at that too because my translation. Did you just read verse 26?
Yes.
Because my translation says, "For a prostitute's fee is only a loaf of bread, but an adulteress goes after your very life."
Yeah.
And like I was sitting here looking at that, like, what?
Yeah. So for me, that goes back to one who sows discord, because she has to know what she's doing.
Yeah. And I hate to say this, but that's why they call people like at-home wreckers.
Yeah.
But like, so a prostitute has a job, right? I mean, that's their
That's
job,
her job.
which I liken to a thief.
Both names of Satan.
Like who is doing what he's doing to satisfy himself and is redeemable because it's a job. But an adulteress, like, to me, is going into something with an evil intent, I guess.
Prostitute isn't bound by vows, bound by a ring,
Right.
bound by the
Well,
marriage.
some of them are, though. I'm just trying to differentiate why they would say prostitute versus adulteress, because, and like what that.
Well, it's the covenant, you know, for
Yeah.
the wife, for the adulteress, the covenant between her husband and God. Whereas I don't think we usually associate those with prostitutes, because that is their occupation.
Right. Like it's
Yeah.
that's what.
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
So your original question though is why it only mentions what happens to the man, not the woman, right?
Yeah.
So could it be then that we're only talking spiritually here, because the woman technically in this situation is Satan and his fate has already been determined?
and over the past few chapters, there's been like footnotes, like that kind of go along with like talking about like kind of like you said, like with us being the bride of Jesus, and then the whole spiritual thing. You talk about like going back into religion and going back to works and to law, and trying to do everything in our own strength again, as opposed to praying to Jesus.
I get very confused when they switch from literal to spiritual
Yeah.
meanings.
I am with you on that.
Because you figure it kind of makes
Stuff
sense.
so like.
Because like the whole belief system, when you're putting your faith in Jesus versus in your own works and your own effort and under the law, because you figure if you believe in the law, what the law says, and you're going completely by that, you are damning yourself, because that's where your faith is and that's where your heart is. Because literally what it says, you do this, you mess up here, you're dead. Whereas you're putting your faith in Jesus and actually let Him change you, not in your own efforts, you're actually going the right path. That's how I see it. But like I think like a lot of people, like I said about people sowing discord now on the spiritual side now too, would be people that would literally put stuff over here to turn you back that way, turn you back to law. Even other believers.
The first step is like. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I just think with the adulterer, there's like ill intentions, like purposeful ill intentions, and prostitute, it may accidentally happen, but for the adulterer, that's their main focus, and that's the point.
Right, like they're going into it with that ill intent. Yeah.
Because is it ever really the prostitute's fault that a man decides to,
Came to her.
go to her? Like a prostitute never goes out seeking a man, but
Wow.
just stands by
Right,
waiting
and
for them to come.
Waits. I don't know much about that.
I'm just assuming. Just assuming
Brandon
all of
seems like
this.
he's speaking as an expert or something.
Oh my.
That's a whole nother topic for.
Well, you do live in McSherry's town.
I mean, I'm just going by what
Yeah.
I've seen in movies.
What I've read on the internet.
I mean, really, like in the movies, what you see a prostitute is doing is hanging out on the side of
Right,
the
yeah.
sidewalk.
And the guys drive up.
And
And
guys drive up to them. You don't see prostitutes usually like kicking off their heels and running after people.
right.
Unless
See them
the guy
casting
steps
on
out
people.
on hang.
Yeah, but then adulterers, like Robbie said,
I mean,
they're
they
going out with.
They
ill
stand by and look enticing, but they don't really. That's all they have to do is stand there. So it would be on the man because ultimately they're the one making the decision to.
Go with her.
And you think like they have the houses, like brothels and stuff like that too. You have to go there.
Right.
You don't,
With
they're
that.
not dragging you there.
Right.
You know.
Free will.
So. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna, like, if you put it into spiritual terms, it would be like the prostitute, I guess, would be Satan or any kind of false idol, and then you would be seen as the adulterer because you're actively seeking that out
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
letting that influence you because that's your intent. It's just let it happen.
And it probably is just that, like.
And I believe that I could be wrong, but isn't Satan referred to as like the great prostitute? Isn't that one of his like names?
If it is, it's not said very often. You have to look.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
look that up because I don't want to misinform anybody.
Yes,
It could
please
be.
don't.
Walk around
Misinformation.
town now and be like, Satan is a prostitute.
Who or what is the great prostitute of Revelation 17?
Brandon said.
That's way too long to read.
Yes, I do believe that there is in Revelation what?
17
Yeah, I think that's where it
talks about the great prostitute.
Yeah. The woman in the scarlet beast. Come, I will show you the judgment of the notorious prostitute who sits on many waters. The kings of the earth committed sexual immorality with her, and those who live on the earth become drunk on the wine of her sexual immorality. So he carried me away in the spirit to a desert. Saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She had a gold cup in her hand filled with everything vile and with the impurities of her prostitution. On her forehead a cryptic name was written, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the vile things of the earth. And I saw that woman was drunk on the blood of the saints and on the blood of the witnesses to Jesus. When I saw her, I was utterly astounded.
That last part there makes me think of Islam. I might probably not the case, but you think drunk on the blood of the saints.
Oh, yeah.
When I first heard it, this just takes me back. When I first heard that whole story in Revelation, I was like, I think I was like 12 or 13, and I was at was like Easter. It was like Easter Sunday, and so I was with them, and they didn't want to go to church. So obviously, I wasn't going to go by myself with someone who I wasn't really familiar with all that well. And so she read the whole thing to us, and she made us.
On Easter?
Yes.
That's a great Easter
But yes. And so, but when I first heard that, I guess I just took it very literally and thought like that it was about a woman. But I guess now that it's like we're talking about it now, that it's very obvious that it's Satan.
Right.
Yeah.
I think like
Yeah.
wisdom is referred to as a woman, and it comes from God. So like seduction and lust is bad things, and is referred to as a woman, and it comes from Satan.
Yeah.
So this is also, it's also known as the Whore of Babylon,
Yeah.
and it's associated with the Antichrist and the beast of Revelation.
Yeah.
And the word whore can also be translated metaphorically as idolatrous. So it may not necessarily be Satan himself, but maybe the Antichrist, which is also pretty bad.
Which I just think of like read that last little bit of that in yours again, where it says about the whole blood of the saint, because that just really interested me. The last like verse or two or whatever.
About the woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She had a gold cup in her hand filled with everything vile and with the impurities of her prostitution. That's not it.
Interesting that she's dressed in purple.
I don't know, which
It's
is the
usually
color of royalty.
Yeah.
Then I saw that the woman was drunk on the blood of the saints and on the blood of the witnesses to Jesus. When I saw her, I was utterly astounded.
And that to me, that thinks. Well, go back to
Which
when
verse is
Jesus, back in the day when
6.
Jesus was on the earth,
6.
and you think about like and the disciples and stuff like that, and think about how many of them were killed back then. And who were they killed by? Religious leaders, because they didn't like what they had to say. So to me, it almost thinks like it would be a false, like whether it's like a false Christianity or even like another religion like Islam or something like that, who says they're hearing from God, but they're really not.
Revelation is a chapter.
That's what I mean.
Like not to read.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Revelation is a chapter I try not to read because I just get more, or a book that I try not to read because I get so confused. My mom
I
always
like
says she hates
interesting-
reading it. She just believes in the pan theory. We'll all pan out in the end. She doesn't need. And now
Yeah.
she's
Thanks,
going to
Mom.
school for Bible, so now she's like studying it hardcore. But
The message says, I could see that she was drunk with the blood of God's holy people who were witnesses for Jesus. I stared at her in complete amazement. Like, I get the picture of, like, someone who has taken believers and made them turn, like it's talking about in Proverbs. Turn towards that idolatry, I guess you could say, and like she's drunk with power, like knowing that she can easily persuade people who know better so easily.
That makes sense.
the meaning,
I was thinking that it meant that she killed them.
the meaning of the woman and the beast. Then the angel said to me, "Why are you astounded? I will tell you the secret meaning of the woman and of the beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns that carries her. The beast that you saw was and is not and is about to come up from the abyss and go to destruction. Those who live on the earth whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world will be astounded when they see the beast that was and is not and will be present again." I thought it said something about the
Where is this
Blood.
in Revelation?
chapter 17, and that's in verse 7. The woman you saw is the great city that has an empire over the kings of the earth. See, it's so not literal.
Oh no, nothing.
But it's
Revelation
not
is.
even like, I don't know. It's not even what I like when you first read it and think what it is. I don't think it's even that.
You have to pull some David Asher out.
Yeah.
On this stuff here.
When you read that about taking God's people's blood, like all I could think about was like suicide. Like that's what I thought about. We are so easily persuaded up here,
Mhm.
and though your heart's with God, sometimes you listen to the stuff up here and you shouldn't. And sometimes it drives you to
Yeah, I was
places you
just,
shouldn't.
I was just thinking because of the way it read at first, I was just thinking of like literally murdering
Mhm.
the witnesses and stuff like that. But maybe that's not what it is.
Yeah.
If that's what
I
you
mean,
think it means, it's probably not.
Yeah,
what it
probably
means.
not, yeah.
I mean, like, I just got an idea of like self-righteous people.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
pretty much,
It's not
what.
there's not more I can elaborate on that. That's
Pretty
the
much.
only thought I
It's pretty,
had.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what they're trying to turn them to is you can do this on your own. You pretty much you don't need God,
Mhm.
really.
Well, and think about if you've been given the ability to be able to persuade people to do and think whatever you want them to, you would be drunk with that power. You would
Oh,
get
yeah.
everyone and everyone to go along with what you believed and what you thought. And I think that's what this is talking about here. Is he's drunk on the let's say drunk with the blood of God's holy people who are witnesses for Jesus. And I stared at her in complete amazement, like amazing how this whoever it is can so easily persuade people who were walking with Jesus to completely like change their mind.
I remember there used to be this. I'm the TV expert. There used to be this reality show on. It was like these like famous like pastors who were like heads of like the really big churches
Oh, yeah.
that have like the
Mega.
streaming to like all these different
Yeah.
and they were all like driving Mercedes and
Mhm.
the really expensive cars, and really nice homes, and all the nice designer clothes. And I don't remember the tagline verbatim, but it was just kind of like it was something along the lines of like, is that wrong? Like, is it wrong for us to want to enjoy life or something like that? That kind of thing. And then it just like it's kind of you lost sight, like it's complete opposite of what you're telling other people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not practicing what you preach.
Yeah.
Is it wrong for us to want to enjoy life? Yes, it is.
And that's
God
why
tells you not to
pastors
give
get
in
mad when you don't
the
give
world.
offering every single Sunday. They can't afford the car payment without your donation.
Yeah, but that's a
With the
that's a
exception
really
of
good
Pastor
example of like that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that can easily persuade people to like what was that? What was that? The guy that had people donate to his jet, like millions of dollars, Creflo Dollar or
Creflo
whatever.
Dollar,
Like you know, like
Uh,
persuading people to follow along with something like, and then purchasing a multi-million-dollar jet. Like he probably was like, I can't believe these people went along with this, and like you
if I
know,
ever
like
create a GoFundMe account, it's because I want to have millions of dollars saved up.
but that's someone who's a godly person, like using their influence to do something that's not donating. You know, if people can't afford to put meals on their table, but they're donating to a jet, there's something that's
Something right
you're
there.
using your influence not in a positive way.
I'm gonna
Wow.
create a GoFundMe account so I can go out and buy one of those $750,000 RVs just so I have a place to sleep at night.
You can park it in our backyard.
There you go.
Well, that went around, all around. That's good. I like that.
Never know where we're going to end up.
Yeah.
Who would have thought we would end up in Revelation?
Talking about the whore of Babylon.
Yeah, talking about whores and prostitutes.
Kind of what we do.
There's more of that in the next chapter too.
All right.